Okay, let's talk about the benefits of having a targeted or a niche audience. I think the word niche is really kind of a buzzy word within marketing and business. It's buzzy, but it's really important. And so let's kind of think about who you want to buy your product or to take on your service. I know we want everyone to use our service and to buy our product. We think it is just the most amazing thing and that everyone should want to use it. But that's not very realistic. So we have to dial in on who that one person is. Who am I going to talk to? If I were standing in front of a person or a small group of people, what would my message be? How would I be communicating what it is that I'm doing, what it is that I'm selling, what my brand is about? And when you can visualize, like lock it in, like put blinders on. When you can visualize that one person or a small group of people, your messaging will become so much more relevant. It will connect with that person, just direct on, like you have eyes on. And it increases the odds of actually converting that person into a paying customer, which is what we all want. Now, when you're talking to one person, don't worry, there's going to be overflow. There's a ripple effect that kind of goes out. So if my target is a 30-year-old woman who's an entrepreneur or who has a side hustle and is looking to launch her own business at some point, that's who my messaging is going to be targeted to. However, it's going to ripple out. It's going to reach men. It's going to reach mompreneurs, women who are stay-at-home moms and who are either running a full-time business or a side business while they're momming at home. It could reach a college student. It could reach someone who is newly retired or about to retire and just looking for a fun outlet to generate a little more income. So you do reach out in concentric circles, but you sound more consistent, you sound cohesive, and like you know what you're doing and what you're talking about when your messaging is on point. Okay, so let's go back to that example of being in front of a group of people. Let's say you're talking about toothbrushes. I just want to give you another example. So theoretically, toothbrushes are something that everyone uses, or you hope that everyone is using. But you still want to tailor your message. If you're talking to a group of students, perhaps elementary school or middle school, which I don't know that I was that great at brushing my teeth in middle school, the why behind your message is a little bit different. So people care about different things as they age and when they're in different life phases. So you can't talk to a student the same way you would a young professional who maybe wants to have a nice smile because of the people they're dating, the networking that they're doing, versus the student who doesn't necessarily know about personal hygiene in general. And so you want to help them not have all their teeth fall out. And so the messaging is very different. You cannot speak to both of those groups at the same time. Everyone should have a toothbrush, but you have to tailor your message. And because most of us don't have a huge team to have a million messages out there, we are going to bring that in and focus on a single client avatar. There are some people out there who call it an ICA, ideal client avatar. IC are the two initials I tend to use when I'm writing. So ideal client. I don't think you'll hear me say IC, but just in case you do, that's what it is. It's ideal client. Because your target audience is so important, you want to spend some time asking yourself questions about what that target audience needs, and you also want to talk to them. I mean, that's the best way to get research, is to actually hear from the people that you are trying to sell to. So what are their needs? Where are they spending time? How are they spending their time? When I say where are they spending time, it's definitely which social media platform, but it's also outside of social media. Are they with their families? Are they at work? That's just going to give you a lot of information to influence both the visual and the content of your design in what you're creating. And what are their values? What are people looking for? You have to get into their inner motivations and really understand those sub layers. So going back to the example of a toothbrush, there are so many sub layers there. What is it that clicks with a person that makes them say, oh yeah, I need a toothbrush for this reason? And are there any hesitations? Are there any roadblocks to purchasing a toothbrush. We're just using that because it's a simple and inexpensive example. But what might be the hesitation that a person has about purchasing a toothbrush or your toothbrush? And so you want to answer those questions, anticipate, be ahead of the curve. And how do they currently view your company, your product, or your niche? Maybe you're in what could feel like a little bit of a saturated market, health, beauty. I have a friend who does brows and facials, and I wouldn't say that that's saturated, but there is certainly a healthy amount of competition out there. So you want to understand how your target audience, how your ideal client views the niche as a whole. You could put out a ton of content on social media, online. You could post 100 times a day, but even content that gets a lot of engagement doesn't pay the bills if you are not connecting with your target audience and helping them take that next step. Then really, what good is it? So think about that. That's why it's also important to talk directly to your audience, because then you're going to be able to help them move through that customer journey, which we'll talk about later, but move through the customer journey and become a paying customer.